Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea and today I'm going to be talking about new messages I've received from the 25th dimension in regards to things like alcohol, drugs, negative entity, attacks, and so on. But before we move forward, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and do give a thumbs up to this video. It really helps me. And do leave a comment below because I read them all and I'm really interested in hearing how if the stuff resonates with you, or just stop by and say hi. I love the interaction. All right, so let's jump in. When I refer to Lorraine, I'm speaking about my hypnotist in this particular session. And when I refer to me, I'm talking about myself under hypnosis, which means the answers to the questions are coming from the 25th dimension. All right, Lorraine, is it true that alcohol allows negative entities to enter the body? What happens to the person's essence under the influence of alcohol? And the reason I asked this question, I wanted to ask this question, is because that's what I read. That when people get drunk, they're leaving themselves open and they're allowing negative entities to attach them. And that's why a lot of people have very violent behavior or very negative behavior, what we consider negative behavior when they're inebriated, but also even when they recover, it kind of affects their personality. And I have actually seen that change personality with people I've been in relationships with because of alcohol. So I was really curious about the answer to this. Me. What happens, the reason we are attracted to alcohol, respond in certain ways to alcohol, is just another energy that opens up, oftentimes. So it's almost, again, like switching our focus from one world to another is what we are doing. The problem with that is that it is not a high vibrational energy. The intention that's behind people making the alcohol is different from the intention, for example, behind plant medicine. It's all coding. It's all codes, meaning that it will affect you because it will remind you of something that you've been wanting to focus on. Except that with alcohol, you don't realize that you've been wanting to focus on something, and instead of leaving yourself the choice open of how you're going to experience things, you're actually lowering your vibration, and therefore you're going to experience parallel realities that are not so pleasant. So when we say that negative entities can attach to you, it's not quite that way. It's not a negative entity. It's simply that you are exposing yourself. You're lowering your vibrational frequency. You're exposing yourself to see parallel realities, which is what we do all the time when we travel. We go to parallel realities, if you want to call it that, other dimensions. But you're exposing yourself to dimensions that are not as high vibrational as you could otherwise. And that's what happens. And of course, like we all do, when we come back into our bodies, we carry that back with us, whatever it is. Could be high vibrational if we've been astral traveling. Could be low vibrational if we have been drinking. And there is no difference. It's merely been a choice of where you have gone. And this is why, for example, we're hungover. Is because the body simply, once again, is trying to clear the debris of what you brought back. But because you have gone and focused on, you have switched your focus to a lower vibrational reality, you, of course, have much more debris to deal with. Your body's trying to rebalance itself. There's nothing that happens where it's bad for you or you have to carry it back into your body. So you're not going to have an entity attack. However, if you're going to a low vibrational parallel reality, of course, you're going to be dealing with things that you will find unpleasant. You might find unpleasant. It's not the same thing as traveling back to the 25th to take a little breather or going to hang out with your friends in the 14th dimension. It's very different, but it is a choice. It's simply a code, just like mushrooms. It's simply a code you're taking into your body to immediately switch your focus from this dimension to another dimension. The question is, which dimension are you going to? There are people like Clea, for example, she has had alcohol a few times. And what ends up happening, because she's always so connected to the 25th, she always has been, she just doesn't know. She, of course, the second that she has any alcohol, which she hasn't had in a few years, she hasn't had in years. I've not had alcohol. I don't even know in how long. She starts cracking jokes because this is how she sees the game. She's always laughing at it. It's just what it does. It amplifies. It takes you to the easiest vibrational dimension that you're generally focused on. It just takes you there in a second. And this is what allows stuff to come in. This is why people behave so differently under the effect of alcohol. So it is not true that alcohol has to take to a lower vibrational energy, low vibrational dimension. It will take you to the place where you wanted to switch your focus to. You're really brewing on that, even below the surface in 3D. And guys, just so we're clear, I have nothing against alcohol. I hang out with my friends drinking all the time. I just don't like it. It's not a taste that I'm interested in. And I generally don't like to be out of control either, because I have a good time anyway. So I really don't care. But because I do have a lot of friends who drink, and as I said, I've had relationships with somebody who drank. Hopefully doesn't do that anymore. I don't know, but who drank very, very heavily. Then I was interested in this. Lorraine, very interesting. Thank you. Do pharmaceutical drugs affect a person's essence, or were they designed to do that? Me, laughing. So they were laughing when I answered this. So the dark, which is who has introduced pharmaceutical drugs, that was their intention. They wanted to affect how the essence would express itself, or even more, they wanted actually NPCs to not be a welcoming environment for the essence to come back in. So again, NPCs are bodies without essence. So when we travel all the time, even during the day, not just at night, each one of us with an essence in our body travels all the time. So we leave this shell empty all the time. And when we take pharmaceutical drugs, the 25th is saying they were intended so that you would make your body unwelcoming for the essence, meaning that the essence would not like the environment it was going to find, so it would stay out of it. It wouldn't come back. Which is really brilliant and sick at the same time when you think about it. My goodness. So basically, they wanted the NPCs to not be a welcoming environment for the essence to come back in. The dark is always laughing. They were laughing again, believing that they would be better off with NPCs because they are more easily controlled. The fact is they cannot really affect souls coming in and out. They like to believe that, but that is not true. So what ends up happening is like with everything else. Excuse me. Two different people can take the same drug and it will affect them completely differently, because while you can adopt the idea that a drug will help you, say, have a headache, go away, the truth is that depending on the reality you're focused on, that's what you will experience. And therefore, no, it has failed in the sense that the dark cannot control the essence at all. But the essence, it chooses. This is just another code they're entering. They're introducing in their bodies. So the essence is choosing, okay, I want to be in this other dimension, or I want to be pushed more into this dimension, or I want to be more focused on this other vibrational frequency. That's all a drug does. It was engineered to change people's dimension, but it doesn't really work for everybody, does it? At the end of the day, the essence always has sovereignty in what it chooses to do. Lorraine, wonderful, thank you. CBD has been hailed as a safe way to resolve many different 3D ailments. Is this true? And who is behind this idea, and why was it introduced? Me. So CBD was actually another code that was another program, clues, because we always leave clues for ourselves. So just like mushrooms, like other ceremonial plants, it was left in the matrix. However, now the dark has taken over. Yes, they're trying to use it to their advantage. It's not really working so well. They've tried. It's not just a very popular idea on the side of the dark. Here's what's happening. It's doing the same thing as everything else. It's an idea. You're welcome to use it to your advantage or not. And a lot of people who are taking this are actually finding benefits from it because they have chosen, because the idea that's been more catchy has been that this is something that is helpful. So people are introducing this light code in a way in their bodies, assuming it is from the light, assuming it's a light thing. And therefore, that's how they react to it, because that's how the essence wants to experience it. And again, you can have the same product taken by two different people, depending on the experience that, even though you're adopting the same idea in practice, depending on the experience that the essence wants to have, it could have two completely different outcomes. I think it's hilarious that the dark is introducing ideas that are not only backfiring, but they're literally like everybody else is thinking, oh, this is a great idea. We'll just use it on, for good on the side of the lights. I love it. Lorraine, interesting. Thank you. Can you tell us more about psychedelic slash psilocybin mushrooms? Basically, is what some people refer to as magic mushrooms. What is their purpose? Me. The purpose is to leave clues to connect. It is so easy to connect through mushrooms because they don't have the same coding. They're not as low vibrational as everything else we kept here. They're very high vibrational. At the same time, they're very mild because they are a product of Gaia. And therefore they've been left as clues in this game to allow us to reconnect. Just like hypnosis, to allow us to reconnect to source, to the 25th, to whatever dimension we've been wanting to connect to individually. They do not act the same way on everybody, same as everything else. It's a code that the essence chooses. They will simply amplify and manifest what the essence has chosen to manifest already. So it's just simply an acceleration of that process of manifestation. It is a tool that was left in the matrix for our use. This is also why the dark has been trying to get rid of them and say that they are illegal, because they are a very easy way to reconnect into source, and most importantly, to Gaia, because they're a product of Gaia. Gaia has always been there, protecting us and holding us. Lorraine, wonderful, thank you. Is it possible, since there are codes and frequencies, can we choose to, in a meditative or hypnotic state, introduce those frequencies and codes without the ingestion of the substance? Me. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just an idea. You can do whatever you want. If you believe, Lorraine, that if you stand upside down on your head for an hour tomorrow, and that will allow you to connect with source, that's exactly what will happen. Lorraine, wonderful, thank you. It is said that these mushrooms are the oldest living organisms on the planet. Is it true? Me. They're very old. So the question that you're asking me is, have they been here throughout the resets? And they have. It's one of the things that's been left throughout the resets, because we have often changed the face of the planet during resets. We have added sand, we've covered things, we've uncovered other things, but mushrooms have been around through many resets. And therefore, in that sense, they're old. As you know, this planet is very old. It's about 9 billion years old, but we've only been here 500 years. However, these mushrooms have been here from the start. Just so you know, there are other products. There are other natural products like mushrooms that do exactly the same thing. We just haven't discovered them. There are many products like this. This is very common. Lorraine, interesting, thank you. And since they're just frequencies and codes, we can just tune to an intention to receive the frequencies and codes for this. For lack of a better word, boost to connection to the 25th or source or to higher selves, to our higher selves? Me, sure, I'll tell you more. They're telling me that there's actually a tree in the Amazon where if you eat the bark of it, it does the same thing as this mushroom. You could just chew on it. It does the same exact thing. And yes, absolutely, they're just codes. Seriously, if you thought you had to do something strange and you would think strange and that would be your code, this is how you connect. It's just a quick embodied way for us to do it. We often do like things to be embodied, to be practical, to be material, to be matter. It's easier for us. We're used to the idea of eating things, of introducing codes that way. So that's what you're doing. You're eating a piece of bread. All you're doing is introducing a piece of code to connect you to a certain vibration, right? And normally the foods that we eat are very low vibration for that reason. But the mushrooms are just another code, in the same way this bark, this tree bark, is just another code. And everything has a code to it. So yes, absolutely, you can. If you believe that that's what you're doing, or the reason you're doing it for, if that makes it easier for you to connect to that vibration, you absolutely can do that. If you choose to believe that air will sustain you if that's what you believe. Lorraine, it's just our intention. So if we intend or believe that a certain thing is a tool that connects us, it's a bridge. Again, even with alcohol, you could choose. You can have alcohol and connect to high vibrational experience or low vibrational experience. It's not the object, it's your expectation, your intention, your belief about the object that will color your experience. Just like with, I almost said the word, just like with this thing. There are many people who take them and nothing happens to them. And yet there are people who take them and use that as an excuse to move on to another incarnation. And this is how powerful our intention is. So I just love this information that came through. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.